Hey Internet, Eric here. Fantastical February continues. New to that concept. Every month here on the channel, unless I have a live stream planned for some reason, every month I will have a different theme of the movies I'm going to discuss. February, Fantastical February, nothing but fantasy films, whether it's swords and sandals, has anything to do with mythical creatures, fairy tales, all that stuff. And I'm going to talk about one from my childhood that I still really enjoy as an adult from that magic year of movies, 1984. I'm talking about The Neverending Story. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I discuss plot, spoilers, specific scenes, what have you. Basic, air quotes, plot to this film is we are following a young boy by the name of Bastian Bucks, and he recently lost his mom. She passed away, and to cope, he's kind of disappeared mentally and emotionally into like the world of fantasy, unicorns, stuff like that. And he's often picked on at school. He's kind of looked down upon by his father. One day, he is chased and harassed by some bullies, and he I guess you say he hides in a bookstore that is run by Mr. Coriander. And at first, Mr. Coriander thinks he's just some kid that's into comic books, doesn't like books. Finds out that Bastian reads all the classics, and Bastian snatches a book called The Neverending Story. And instead of going to class, because he's late, he sneaks up into the school attic and reads The Neverending Story. While that is happening, we are following the character, the hero of the story, Atreyu. Atreyu is from a world called Fantasia that is being destroyed by an entity called the Nothing. And then for the rest of the movie, we are following Atreyu's mission to save the childlike empress and Fantasia from the Nothing, all while we find out that Bastian is somewhat becoming part of the story. If he gets scared in a part of the book and he yells, the characters in the book hear it, and vice versa type of thing. So that's kind of a little bit of meta stuff. As I said, this is a favorite of mine from childhood. Still really, really good. First off, the acting. We have Noah Hathaway, who plays Atreyu. Atreyu is the main character, like I said. And Noah Hathaway was a very good young actor. I've only seen him in this, in Troll, and Sushi Girl. I've discussed both of those here. He's really... Sorry, garbage truck or something out there. Anyways, Jesus, you can hear the freaking brakes. Anyways, it's like, the Neverending Story is working with me. Noah Hathaway, very good. I love his confidence, that he's this warrior from the plains, hunts buffaloes, and he was hired to save the childlike empress, like I said, stop the Nothing, blah, blah, blah. And you buy that. You buy his heroism, you buy his toughness, his confidence. But what's great is Noah can also be very emotional when he needs to be emotional. There are scenes where everyone knows about it, the scene where he's going through the swamp of sadness, and his horse Artax is letting the sadness of the swamp overtake him. And Artax slowly sinks into the swamp until he dies. And, the heartbreak, the crying, the tears when Noah is, screaming for Artax to don't let the sadness get you, please, blah, blah, blah. You buy it. The frustration, I love the scene where Atreyu meets this gigantic turtle, and the turtle is allergic to humans, and it's talking about nothing matters. So every time the turtle sneezes, Atreyu is blown like 50 feet, and that frustration builds up. He's getting tired of this. He's like, why are you letting the Nothing take you? You buy that. The anger, because there's also a creature called the Gmork. The Gmork is this gigantic wolf-like creature, I guess, for lack of a better term, and it was hired by the Nothing to find Atreyu and kill him, basically. And towards the end of the film, the Nothing has destroyed everything. There's not much left, and Atreyu ends up on this beach area, and the Gmork is his head's popping out of the cave. Fantastic looking creature. I'll get to the creature designs later, but it's talking about how it almost had Atreyu, it almost had the hero in the swamps of sadness, and then Falcor came and fucked everything up. And Atreyu realizes he's got nothing else to lose. He picks up a piece of like rock, like a sharp piece of rock, and he says, "I'm the one you're looking for. Come for me, Gamor. I'm Atreyu." You buy that. I love it. So Noah Hathaway, really really good. Barrett Oliver as Bastian. Bastian isn't in this movie as much as you would think, especially since the movie starts with him, but he's pretty good. He's there to look vulnerable, feel ignored, get really into the book. There are so many scenes where, he gets excited for the chapters that are happening, the action, this and that. You buy a lot of the times he's scared. He's freaked out by certain things happening. There is a scene at the end, though, which once we get to the part where he saves Fantasia, that's pretty hokey. I'll get to that, but overall, Barrett Oliver is really good. You have the actress who plays a childlike empress. She's there to look like a princess and kind of break the fourth wall, looking at the camera, talking to Bastian, saying, "You're the person who can save Fantasia." She's okay during that scene. Bastian kind of makes it kind of hokey. It is what it is. I mean, that's just me also looking through the eyes of a 43-year-old now. But then you have the final scene where her and Bastian are talking about how all that's left for Fantasia is this little piece of sand. And he's wondering, what can I do? And, you can wish type of thing. And they have decent chemistry when they're finally on screen together. The other characters, Mr. Coriander, he is the bookshop owner. He's just there to look creepy and scary and intimidating, does his job. So the actors overall are quite good. Now you have the creatures of Fantasia, the creativity. Everyone knows about the Rockbiter. The Rockbiter is this gigantic, like literally Godzilla-sized bastard who, made out of rocks, eats all the rocks in the area. Super deep voice. The design of him, the movements of like his body and the way his mouth moves, fantastic. Love him. I love Deep Roy. Deep Roy plays a man on top of a racing snail. He's really cool. He's always in scenes with this ugly bastard here who tries to get from here to there with a sleeping bat. They're really, really good comic relief. I really do like the scene with the Rockbiter when afterwards Atreyu meets up with him. And the Rockbiter talks about how, the Nothing stole his friends. The man with the bat, the man with the racing snail. These giant hands couldn't hold on to him. You feel his pain. So these over-the-top, goofy-looking creatures or characters have personality. You feel his pain, and I like that. Of course, we have to talk about Falkor, who is this... He is a luck dragon, but basically dragon body, big giant fucking dog head. He can fly. He's there to kind of inspire Atreyu to keep going. He's there for some comedic effect. He's there just to bring in the women who love dogs, or the people, chicks love dogs because he's so cute. He's fun. Really love his design. And then you have this little guy here. He and his wife are a couple, I don't know if they're elves or dwarves or whatever. There's a scene where, Atreyu meets up with them. And Atreyu is wearing Orin, which is a necklace of snakes, entwined with each other. And that dude, he knows all about it. He knows the trials and tribulations that Atreyu has to go through. And he's there to be kind of goofy. The way he acts with his wife, it's kind of like Billy Crystal and Carol Kane in Princess Bride. But what I really like is when he's explaining the different trials and tribulations, like the tough stuff that Atreyu has to go through, and he's speaking to Falkor, you buy it. You buy his fear, his his worry, all that stuff. Because there is a scene where Atreyu has to go through these gigantic-looking statues that are shaped like nude women, but they're also griffins. It's PG 1984. You can still see titties and nipples. It's it was an amazing time, but a person had to be full of confidence, no self-doubt type of thing, And if they walked in between them with any form of self-doubt, their eyelids would open. They shoot lasers. We see what happens to a knight on a horse. It's a great scene where Atreyu is walking through them, and he's confident, and you have this little goblin guy. I don't fucking know his name, and he's cheering on Atreyu. He's gonna do it, and then suddenly the eyes start to open, and it's a great scene because it's slowly opening. We've already seen what it does to this knight, and the fear is in this goblin guy's face, and it's a great scene because it's also mixed in with Bastian yelling at the book. Run, Atreyu, run. Atreyu's booking it like he's fucking, 50-yard dashing it through these, jumps right at the nick of time as the lasers hit, and he misses it. It's a great scene, and it's also good because of the acting with fear of Noah in Noah Hathaway's face, Barrett Oliver yelling and screaming, and whoever the fuck plays this little goblin dude. Perfect. So the acting is really, really good for the most part. I've already discussed the creativity with the way that people look, the way the character designs are. I love the look of the childlike empress's castle. There's a great scene where I guess you would say, I don't know if he's the chancellor of the kingdom or whatever, played by Moses Gunn. I only know Moses Gunn from a Tales from the Crypt episode. It's like one of my favorite episodes where he works at the mortuary and he kills his nephew. His creativity, he looks like this wizard with this long fucking beard, but he's got like a hood in the middle of his forehead. He's talking about how the childlike empress has gotten ill and only one person can cure him. And everybody in, I guess you'd say, they get together, the way they look, these people with these oversized heads, and just all these different creature designs. So creative. The sets look so good. The way the nothing is portrayed, you just see, it's just very little. Wolfgang Peterson directed this, and Wolfgang Peterson also directed a favorite of mine, Enemy Mine. I love that film. And just the way you just see the darkness of the sky, tree branches, and the way it's different tree branches and logs just twisted on screen, and the way that the screen is just slowly pulled, and you hear the sound design of things being destroyed. Love it. And it's a dark film when you think about it. Like I said, the scene where the rock biter's talking about how he lost his friends to the nothing. The nothing is just eating up Fantasia. And I think that's supposed to represent, because this is a fantasy story or a fantasy movie based on a book, and the second to main character, Bastian, he's living in this fantasy world. He's reading all these fantasy books. Treasure Island, he talks about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and now he's reading the Neverending Story. And I think the nothing is supposed to represent growing up. And not just growing up and becoming an adult, but growing up and putting away childish things. Forgetting like the fantasy stuff that we loved growing up type of thing. That can be dark if you look at it. I could be interpreting it wrong. There's another trial that Atreyu has to go through, which is, again, in my interpretation, kind of adult in theme. He is going through this, it's like a snowstorm, and he looks into this cave and he sees a mirror. And I think it's supposed to show his representation. And he looks in the mirror and he sees Bastian reading the book. And like I said, Atreyu he's probably like 13, 12 or 13. And again, he's this warrior living on the land. Think of like a Native American, hunting buffalo, going on all these trips. He's acting tough. He's strong, confident. But when he looks into this mirror and he sees Bastian, I think he's just seeing the fact that he really is, he's just a kid. You know what I mean? And it's kind of bringing him into reality. I think that's kind of cool. I could be representing it wrong. My only dislike, and if I gotta say, that kind of rolls my eyes, and it could just be, no, I was gonna say my age, but I think I was like this when I was younger too, is the final act. Fantasia's, nothing's eating everything. And Atreyu thinks he's failed. He's basically flying in space with Falcor. And he sees the childlike empress's castle. It's the only thing that's fucking left. They go in there, they're talking to each other, and the childlike empress finally breaking the fourth wall, telling Atreyu that only one person can save me, has to give me a new name. He's an earthling boy or something like that. And Atreyu's like, who the fuck is this guy? And then she starts talking about how, we knew it was him when he first hid in the bookstore and took the book from the bookshelf or something like that. So Atreyu's wondering, what are you smoking, chick? And Bastian's reading this, like, wondering how, no, this is a story. That's really good. I like that. I like the interaction. Eventually, earthquakes are happening. Atreyu gets knocked out or dies. I don't know. He falls on the ground. I don't remember if he gets hit. And then she's yelling at Atreyu. Bastian's yelling at Atreyu. And then suddenly the childlike empress is screaming to Bastian. This is where it gets kind of hokey, in my opinion. She's looking at the camera. She's breaking the fourth wall. And what happens is Bastian has to give her a new name. And she's saying, please save us. I like that. I buy that pretty much from this actress. But it's when Bastian, and of course, in reality, we have this huge fucking storm happening because they're mixing together. He throws open the attic door and he yells her new name, Moonchild. Don't get it. And I only know it's Moonchild because I've Wikipedia'd it and I've also put it on closed captioning. No explanation. Like, I think it was his mom's name. I don't know if it was mom's nickname. I don't know if she was literally Moonchild. I've never read the book, and fuck it, who knows? There's characters in The Outsiders named 2-Bit and Soda Pop. And then just kind of ends. And then we have the scene where they're together, and she says, all that's left is Fantasia, is this grain of sand. Make your wishes. Whoever holds it can wish for whatever. And he wishes for... So that part's kind of hokey. And then it's definitely for the kids. As an adult, I roll my eyes. He wishes for Fantasia to be back. He's flying on Falcor now, pumping his fist to the air. It's cheesy, but he's going back. We see the person with the racing snail and the troll guy with the bat. Atreyu is riding Artax. Everyone's happy there. And then he goes back to New York. Falcor chases the bullies. They jump into a dumpster and get out of the way because it is a perfect bookend because they threw him in the dumpster earlier. And then Falcor flies away. And then they talk about, Bastian and Falcor had many more adventures, but that's another chapter or something like that. Kind of cheesy as an adult, but you know what? The kids fucking love it. And another thing I wanted to mention about how the adult themes. The scene with the Gomorrah. First of all, he looks badass. Just his head is inside this cave, and we see a giant wolf, and the eyes, and the teeth, and the tongue. Again, the animatronics are working great. And I talked about how Atreyu says, come for me, Gomorrah. I'm Atreyu, and he's got this piece of shrapnel, I guess you would say. And the Gomorrah leaps at him, and this is a great scene, while the thunder and the lightning and the nothing is destroying everything. And then we cut to the Gomorrah leaping out. We see this really cool quick shot of this giant body of a wolf creature leaping to the side. And then we cut to the wolf laying on Atreyu. And Atreyu lifts the wolf's arm up with its paw and everything. And he has that sharp piece of rock in, like, I guess you would say, Gomorrah's armpit. And it's bloody and nasty. PG, 1984. We didn't have PG-13s. Thank you, Gremlins and Temple of Doom. But then we see the bloody wound. Like, we don't see the wound. It's not, like, gaping or anything. But we see the blood in the fur. We see Gomorrah, like, twitching. That's adult stuff. But I appreciate the fact that they could go there in this fantasy film. If you couldn't tell, I absolutely love this film. Hokey ending or not, I love this film. Noah Hathaway is great. I guess he was on Buck Rogers, but check out Sushi Girl, the first Troll movie. He's really, really good in this. Childlike Empress is okay. Barrett Oliver as Bastian, overall, is pretty good. The creature designs, the character designs, everything. Love me some Deep Roy every time he shows up. And then we have the theme song that everyone knows about. I'm not going to talk about that because you've heard it ad nauseum. But you know what? It fits. It's mystical. It's magical. Fits in this. Lots of good stuff. If you love fantasy films, especially from the 80s, I'll be very, very surprised if you haven't seen this. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Comment below. Click the bell. Comment below. Tell me, have you seen this? Do you love it? Hate it? Don't care? Coming up next, I will discuss the Neverending Story 2, the next chapter. We definitely have a fall in quality. I will not be getting to chapter 3, starring Jack Black as the villain, and now Bastian's played by the kid from Free Willy. Because I'm running out of time, for Fantastical February, and darn it, some things, you just have to cross off the list, and I'm going to sacrifice Neverending Story 3. But after that, this Friday, Frenzy and I are reuniting, John Candy Appreciation Night. It's going to be a fun live stream. I also have plans so far. Got to get rid of the Narnia movies, don't have time because of what I want to talk about. Hook, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth. There might be one more. Don't quote me on it. So check out the Neverending Story. If you haven't, Patrick, I know you said you've never seen it. Great fucking film. If you don't like it, Patrick, I'd be very, very, very surprised. Part 2 is another story, but we'll get to that tomorrow. Cheers.